The rule was simple. If you were more than 15 minutes late for Dean Richard Thompson's class, you received a failing grade for that day's quiz. And today, I was going to see him get his own medicine. Dean Thompson's rule was absolute. If you walked in even 1 second after the 15-minute mark, your quiz, which was worth 20% of your grade, would score 0. One day, a student, Emily Carter, arrived at 8:16 a.m., just 1 minute past the deadline. Dean Thompson, stone-faced, said, "The rule is the rule, Miss Carter. 0. Another day, Michael Davies showed up at 8:18 a.m., explaining his bus was late. Dean Thompson, without a hint of empathy, had said, "Excuses are irrelevant, Mr. Davies. Your quiz is forfeit." Driven by a need for control, Dean Thompson utilized the psychological phenomenon of the Dunning-Kruger effect, believing he was always correct and infallible. I was terrified. A failing grade on a quiz could drop my GPA enough that I'd lose my scholarship, costing me over $2,000 this semester. I knew I had to be prepared. I arrived at the classroom at 7:55 a.m. I set up my phone to record audio and video, documenting every minute until class. I'd circled the relevant section of the syllabus, the one outlining the late policy, with a bright yellow highlighter. I also printed out the university's attendance policy, just in case. 7:58 a.m., 8 a.m., 8:05 a.m., still no Dean Thompson. I checked the time again, 8:10 a.m., then 8:12 a.m. I started to sweat. Was he going to pull a fast one? 8:14 a.m. My hands were shaking. I forced myself to take deep breaths. 8:15 a.m., 8:16 a.m., the class started to murmur. More students trickled in, glancing at me. 8:17 a.m. Dean Thompson was nowhere in sight. I glanced at Emily Carter and Michael Davies, both of whom were watching me intently. 8:18 a.m., 8:20 a.m. Still nothing. I could feel my pulse hammering in my ears. Just as I was about to give up hope, the door swung open. At 8:22 a.m., Dean Thompson strolled in, adjusting his tie. "My apologies, class, a flat tire. Unforeseen circumstances." I took a breath and stood up. "Dean Thompson," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "The syllabus, section 3.2, clearly states that anyone more than 15 minutes late receives a failing grade for the quiz. It's 8:22 a.m. I played my phone's recording of the time like a trump card. Several other students pulled out their phones, documenting his arrival with photos. Just then, Professor Elizabeth Miller, the head of the department, walked in. "Richard," she said, her voice stern, "I heard about the situation." Holding up a printed university document, she stated, "According to the official policy, anyone more than 15 minutes late is subject to the same penalties they prescribe." Dean Thompson would be receiving a 0 on the quiz. The principle of reciprocity, the practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit, had come back to bite him.